The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.
We hope to help you. We want you to know that there's some life after the hurt. Hi, I'm Malin Whitaker. Welcome to Brain Mechanics with your host, Matt Duffin. Today's guest is Kevin Butterfield, holder of many safety and device patents and improvements for racing to help and aid in brain injury. Brain Mechanics is a show of opinions. We're not doctors, lawyers, nutritionists, or therapists, but we've been there, done that. So I hope you enjoy and that we may make your world a better place by watching this show. Let us begin.
Let
Matthew.
us begin.
I guess begin. I like beginning, kind of. I'm the second batter in the lineup. It's Indiana, it's racing, it's brain injury, it's my life. Really, it's a little part of everybody's life. I mean, it's just kind of a core belief when you grow up in Indiana. You grew up watching Indianapolis 500, but you didn't get to watch it on the same day the track was because it was tape delayed, so everybody had a cookout in their backyard and they listened to it on the on the radio. And your dad might have a beer and you couldn't. Boy, times changed. You know, there's been 73 individuals killed at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the last 100 years. 42 of them has been drivers. There's been a motorcyclist. There's been riding mechanics, as it used to be a two-man operation of a car. There's been 17 others, including pit row members, track personnel, and spectators. And all the fatalities are related to championship races at the Speedway. That's your Brickyard, your GP events. You know, before World War One, there was a airport runway. There was militaries beside the track, and that's what they used to use as the drag track part of it. Little known Indiana history with racing. Mm-hmm. But I got me somebody on here with all kinds of Indiana history on racing today. Many of you may recognize him. Yes, you can turn your set off now. He's a good friend of mine, so let me start with that. It's Dr. Kevin Butterfield, but I don't believe he does the doctor title anymore. He's heavily into racing. He's wellness racing. He's a doctor, an actor. I've seen him in Super Bowl commercials. Comedian. I've seen him on stage.
That's not funny. That's really not funny.
But here's my friend, Dr. Kevin Butterfield, and I want to get into some of the accidents and the racing measurements that come, because that's what he's working on, ways of making cars safer. Not necessarily the drivers.
Yeah, that too.
Well, that too, but okay.
Because they're in the car, so.
Well, you're an ex-driver. You grew up somewhat in, you're from Michigan.
Yeah.
But his dad was a neuroscientist.
Neurosurgeon.
He was also the team doctor for the Detroit Tigers. That would have been the part I'd been interested in.
That's right.
But
though, I mean, that's what brought me to, I got to take these bling off here. To look forward ahead, you got to go back. I mean, the way it started with me was, my dad was a brain surgeon, and he was the doctor for the Detroit Tigers. And every home game I had to go to with him, which was great. But we never got to see a whole game because he always got called into the emergency room at the hospital there. Mm-hmm. to do some brain surgery. So what do you do with a kid, 6 to 8 years old, tagging along? You put them up in the observation booth. So I got to watch brain surgeries, a lot of them at a very young age. Oh. And I was always intrigued by that, what happened to them, how they got to this point here, and why did you make me miss my game? No, I wasn't thinking that, but
it went from watching a baseball game to looking inside somebody's brain.
Yeah, so that's what all started for me, and it always fascinated me, the brain. So I was always, looking at his brain books and studying them at a very young age.
Why most kids were, I've heard you say, most kids are looking at comic books. You're looking at neurology magazines.
Yeah, I was looking at what can I do when I get older to make sure that the person on the operating table doesn't see my dad. What can I do to help prevent that stuff from happening? And I've been an avid race car fan my whole life. I used to race, over in Europe and here a little bit. But it just always fascinated me. Like I would always watch every.
I think I paid for one race car.
I'm sure you did. And I appreciate that. I appreciate it. You're too kind. But I mean, I would always look at all the accidents that happened in racing, frame by frame, all the time. It just fascinated me, like what happened, how the car broke, how they either got killed or hurt, and what can be done differently that's not being looked at to make sure that doesn't happen. People pay to see races, they want to see crashes. That's just the way it is. People are like that.
Except for when it's in their face.
So I came up with something, So I came up with safety measures in racing that would keep the cars on the track so they don't go through the fence and hurt a spectator or kill the driver. And the system that I have that we have a patent on, we're developing it, is actually some of the stuff may or may not be being used overseas and also here. Mm-hmm. I'm not at liberty to say all about what is or isn't, but they are taking a good look at this and they are moving it forward, because it is, and the higher ups in racing have said that this is the thing that racing needs right now.
Well, that is what kills people.
Yeah.
Way back. I mean, there's several injuries that can come out of racing.
Yep.
But it's the brain, 9/10 of the time, it's a brain shock. It's the brain hit.
Yeah, and that's a different thing. I mean, the one patent is with wellness racing is to keep the cars on the tracks and to keep it safe during yellow conditions. Another patent I have is more specific to the brain. I mean, there's been a lot of safety features brought into racing with the safer walls, so you're not hitting concrete. And the helmets are good, and the Hans device is good. It keeps the head from snapping, forward in an impact. But nothing out there today can stop the brain from still impacting the inside of your skull, which is very sharp.
No.
And that causes the TBIs, the traumatic brain injury, the concussion, the swelling, and the bleeders in there.
It's not so much blunt force, it's got another name.
Yeah, so the device that I have is used to mitigate that. It's called the Retina System. So if there is a crash, by the time that the car stops rolling from the crash and the safety crew arrives on the scene, they already know his brain status right away. They're getting a brain read off the helmet. And if there is a high enough impact G-force, then the helmet chills like you're in like you got your helmet or your brain in a freezer, which will slow the metabolism down. It will keep the swelling, the bleeding down.
So will that be?
And you have a live feed to the hospital about the EEG brain waves.
Does that need to be baselined off the driver's brain himself, or would all brains pretty much be in the same ballpark?
All the drivers
taking a smack.
I want to get something going in IndyCar and in NASCAR, where I'm the brain guy, I'm the concussion mitigating guy, where we pull into the races with an IndyCar hauler. And in the IndyCar hauler, you have a very nice racing simulator, and you have all the EEG neurofeedback stuff to help those guys and assess the injury. So once they get in a crash, they come in. We already have a baseline on the simulator. We already have a baseline on the brain waves before they wrecked, so we know the status of all that. But if they get in a crash, they come into the center, the rig, and they do another 10 laps on that same course we got a baseline on. We got an orbital reader on the machine, so you can see their eyes.
I've done a lot of
so we can detect a concussion if there is one. How bad is it? What are you going to do about it? Nowadays concussions, if you have one, let's jump to football, because I have I'm going to open up a brain forest center, which addresses TBIs, concussions, autism, ADHD, and everything brain related.
Does that mean we're getting to the brain forest part of the program?
Not yet.
Okay.
Unless you say we are.
Oh, go ahead.
Then we will. Okay, so I
love this guy.
You derailed my train of thought now. So
he has his own brain injury. He hit his head as a kid.
no, I just drink too much coffee. I mean, I just keep going. But what we have to do is we have to, the concussions above 86 degrees, you don't know your name, you're probably knocked out. It's the concussions below 86 degree impact, or 86 G impact on your head, that you can shake it off. You have a headache, you have an issue. You let enough of those go by, it accumulates into that CTE stuff that you see on the news.
Well, yeah, it's going to create dementia.
Yeah, so it's those ones that
Or a form of that CTE
it's the ones
convention.
that you shake off that are bad.
CTE,
I can't remember what it's.
cranial.
No, it's
That's what my buddy,
Encephalopathy.
Dr.
cranial cranial traumatic encephalopathy.
Something like that. Dr. Bennett.
That sounds pretty good.
Dr. Bennett's the one that created it. Or
I'm
made
just
it.
wondering what the scale
He's the one
was.
that did concussions with all the ex-NFL players and started noticing the different brain loss
Yeah.
and problems, but you can't figure it out until the dude's dead that don't show
See,
up.
that's where I jump in. I'm not going to wait till it gets to that point where they're dead. Okay?
Right, 'cause I got some friends
So,
who-
so anyway, with the little kids, we have a camp program.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Concussion and mitigation assessment program, where we go into these little league teams, whether it be hockey, whether it be soccer, football, and we
This
do
is
we
Indiana,
give
we do Little League.
we give these kids. Well, I'm from Detroit. It's all hockey. So we get these little kids, and we do a brain map on the kids, so we get a baseline,
Okay.
and then we'll do another one mid-season. Okay, and if you detect a concussion, there is concussion signature
Sure.
patterns on the EEG, so we'll know what happened.
Okay.
So if we see it happen and he's fine, you don't want to be fine and just accumulate all those things through your whole life, because then you got a lot of trouble down the road.
No,
so,
and some of the
so we
problems-
can train that and bring it back to where the baseline was with this
Okay.
EEG neurofeedback, which I don't know.
Right, and with those kids, what people forget added, they're kids.
Yeah.
If they're out goofing around, running around, they also, if their head's already had a concussion and they're just messing around wrestling with somebody and they lose too much air,
Yeah.
there it goes again. Now, people don't realize because
Yeah,
they build up.
Yeah, I don't want to let anything happen.
And that's
that
where
way,
CTE comes from, such
Yeah.
as if your dad was abusive from the hills and beat you up every day, boy.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Sorry, Jim. I have some friends that are professional wrestlers, or was, and they also have a tremendous amount of CTE.
Yeah, but my goal is to jump in now and not let that be a problem for them down the road. I mean, the EEG neurofeedback takes the brain waves that are too high and lowers them.
Now, is this through essentially an effort of the person to internally rework themselves?
Yes, it's based on sounds and clicks, and there's just been study after study after study that this stuff works. It's been around for a long time, but now the technology is so advanced. If there are hot spots on the brain where the brain waves are firing too much, with this equipment you can lower that area, even if it's just right here, wherever you.
Now, is this something that people would go to this camp for the purpose of learning this, like a summer camp?
There are providers that do it around here. There's a lot more, like in California and North Carolina and Florida. They do a lot of this stuff. And like I said, once you only need 30, 40 sessions.
Okay, so it's not
No, it's not a one, I mean, it's an electrical problem. I mean, it's like if you go in your garage and you hit your fuse box with a sledgehammer and all the lights go out, the medical approach would be let's change all the light bulbs and see if we can fix it. I mean, that's not the way to go that way,
Yeah, no.
So I think you have to address the fuse box. And concussions from your head banging inside of your skull, the brain waves change.
So you're approaching this to cure the problem, not treat the symptoms.
Yes. Cure is a tough word. I mean, you can't.
Well, not cure.
Yeah,
Cure is not the right word, I guess,
we're
but
going to get
to improve on.
Yes, we're going to get there. There's a large database of brain waves of an 8-year-old boy.
Okay.
There's 5 different brain waves in your brain. Each one does a different thing, is responsible for a different thing.
Oh, okay.
So there's a certain range that you have, which is normal.
Okay. Okay.
And as soon as you get the impact, your waves are up. Certain waves are specific for the concussion signature.
Okay.
They go up. They stay up 72 hours after impact, and they stay up 6 months after that. So if we get a kid that comes to the brain for us, or we do it in the racing stuff, and we can detect that they've had a concussion in the past.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, there's a signature left.
Yeah, there's a signature. Some ways they're just different in certain areas of the brain.
Okay.
So that's okay. I mean, if they had one before,
All right.
we just want your baseline, and from that point on, if you have a concussion, we can take it back to baseline. If you want to take your baseline back to closer to normal, that's going to take more intensive stuff to do it. But we can do it all with this neurofeedback therapy.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's where I'm going to address the electricity in the brain. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I don't know the normal approach now. If you have a TBI, you know, they can roll you in the corner and say, you're fine, this is the best you're going to be, that's it.
And I kind of like that corner sometimes.
Yes, yeah, your timeout corner. But I mean, I think there's more to life than that.
Oh,
If there's
right,
something you
right.
can do besides taking a pill or doing some rehab, you can rehab everything. But if you don't get from the neck up to rehab that or work on that, then...
No, you have to, and that's where speech SPLs, speech therapists are so important in recovery, because it's not so much speech that they're teaching you or another language or nothing like that. They're teaching you your life all over again.
Yeah.
They're where the basic rehab hospital left off and they take over. It's not occupational therapists, although they do a wonderful job, you know, teaching you how to cook and
Yeah, and there
clean.
are certain areas of your
gotta
brain
learn how to
that
think.
are certain areas of your brain that are responsible for certain things.
Certain things, yeah.
You know, if I hit you right here with a hammer, that's where you can do complex addition and subtraction or math problems.
Right.
If I hit you hard enough right there, you won't be able to anymore.
Okay.
So with this brain map that we do, we put 72 sensors on the head and a
Really?
cap, and we check 72 different areas of your brain
No,
to see what the ways are doing. Now the sensors on the head, nothing's going this way. I mean, there's no shock therapy.
Now, vanity being what it is, though, this could be used with either a nice shiny dome like mine
Yeah.
or a full head of hair like
Yes.
yours.
Can we do a live demonstration
Yes.
sometime?
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could.
I'll volunteer.
Oh, yeah. We have to shut down a power grid to hook your brain. But anyway, yeah.
They know each other really well.
yeah,
so this is
That wasn't a low blow. That was a
no,
perfect blow right there.
Just a statement.
And he's still got his coffee cup on my desk.
Yeah, so that's very
So
there's not much
far.
in it. But so anyway, that's the stuff that I'm focusing on now. I used to be, a chiropractor for
Yeah,
23
well,
years.
I was a patient of yours briefly for a time.
How'd it do?
You were good.
Cut the tape. All right, good. Yeah. All right, so that's good. But I mean, now it's I.
Can I speak on that matter?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead. But I think that
As soon as we're done.
there is so much more to be done. I want to change lives from young on. Chiropractic is great. You come in. I could see some guy who hurt his back bowling, and I'll see him one time, adjust him, he's gone, he's good to go. I'll see him next year when he does it again.
Yeah.
That's not really satisfying enough for me anymore. I mean, I have to get there and change with the autistic kids, with the ADD kids, with the concussions.
I think it's neat. You're kind of in a previous show we had a race car driver, and he's John, and he's just improving on himself.
Yeah.
He's rebuilding his life. My wife was a victim of a crime, and we've been going through that process. And I think what's neatest about what I'm hearing from you is that it's very difficult, I think, for brain injured people to have an idea of how am I doing. Mm-hmm. But you're going to be able to give us some demonstrable, okay, here's where you were,
Yeah.
and here's where you are now. I mean,
Yep.
you're improving.
Oh, yeah.
Because depression and that sense of hopelessness
Yeah.
is
drives it
one
away.
of the biggest things that I have experienced as a caretaker.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Nothing's working.
Yes.
And that's not the case, but she doesn't feel it.
Well,
look for
you
positive
can
lights.
actually see every time you come in, you can see the
Neat.
improvements.
Neat.
One
You
of
can
the
see it yourself. Yeah.
One of the hardcore statements of
Neat.
being a brain injury survivor and a caregiver or anybody with them is baby steps. Everything in life becomes baby steps. Everything in life becomes baby steps, even though you're an adult.
Yep.
Now, what about Matt?
So
Yeah.
I found out I was 27 the other day. Thank you very much.
There you go. Good.
First time I've been over 23 in a while. I'm happy with what they did with me.
Good.
Good.
You should be.
Look at all the money we're saving on beer.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think this is incredible. Now, is this something that would it be considered a medical procedure or therapy, or what would it be? Obviously, you have the technology now, and then you have the steps to work in to make the technology work.
Yes.
So there would be people trained, or is this something a self-study? I find it fascinating.
Well, you'd have to come in the office to do it.
Okay. So it's not something you take home.
I wouldn't. No, not when it deals with your brain. I wouldn't trust that. You know, you put the hat on backwards, and then you start talking like Matt. But
good point.
yeah, I would. Yeah.
And you'll at least somebody in this world makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's stuff that you do at the office.
Okay.
A lot of insurances are taking this as a covered service. Some
Excellent.
are still not. I mean, there's a lot of pharmaceutical red tape involved in that because we're taking money out of them and getting it better. They don't like that.
They don't like that at all.
No.
Well, now when they got pot already fighting them.
Yeah, so yeah, you just look at that for
You know,
example.
medical-
So
I'm talking medical marijuana, the aspects, and there are prosperous aspects of medical marijuana, and they bite the
yeah, but it's
pharmaceutical companies keeping them down too.
But
I don't always like what the pharmaceutical companies do.
yeah, but I mean, there's parents out there. Let's use autism or ADD or some learning disability. There's a lot of parents that want their kids off the drugs because there's no long-term effects of what those drugs actually do, so they want them off. And the American Pediatric Association in 2013 said that EEG neurofeedback is a level 1 treatment option, which is highly effective. And they use it for depression, they use it for the concussions, they use it for TBI, they use it for all this stuff, you know.
And then you have some patents on this, this technology existed before, but with your racing helmets and the kind of feedback that you can do, you can set, okay, I was here before I had my crash.
That was your baseline.
And now I'm not here.
Yes.
And so then through
there's stuff that I want to do with a certain NASCAR driver, which I won't mention their name, and John Mills, but what I want to do is I want to have them come in and I want to have a 10-lap simulator drive around Watkins Glen or whatever track. I want a baseline high D drive with the orbital thing, and then I want to do the basic brain map stuff, and then I want to do all the therapy. But if you can compare the beginning to the end, you should see a big difference. The times on the simulator should go down. But with this NASCAR driver, let's say we pick a track like Watkins Glen.
Okay.
We can probably get his telemetry from his real car when he did race Watkins Glen to see how far off he is.
Because people don't realize they're all tracked now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's sensors in the car.
But these are the same type of machines that when we went to Mid-Ohio that one year that Ernie Francis had in his little shop that we could drive.
A simulator. I didn't go to a shop, but yeah, it's a
shop
racing
there, a
simulator.
race side that was in the paddock.
Racing
side.
simulator.
Yeah, he had a
it's
racing
one of those,
simulator
yeah.
that he was racing.
There's so much data you can get off of that. So much data.
I was just having
And
a blast.
while
man.
he's
I don't
hooked
know
up
what
on the
you're talking- I was
brain,
racing race cars.
while he's hooked up on the brain thing, perfect.
All right. So, well, as far as, is this something that might also help for those that are watching or listening? Is this feedback technique, is it helpful in cases of dementia or anything like that?
Yes.
Or it is?
Yeah. There's a lot of neuroplasticity, which means your brain's a little squishy. It can learn stuff, along the way.
Whoa.
To what extent, that depends on the patient. I don't know how far advanced they are. I don't know, any of that stuff. But I mean, this stuff is worth a try first because a lot of brain problems are problems with the electronics in your brain. This thing can fine-tune that, like a carburetor on a car. So,
neat.
And once you're good to go there, that's as good as it'll be.
Well, I have not had the experience that my wife and Matt and others have had, but I did have a motorcycle wreck, and interestingly enough, I lost my sense of humor. I don't know whether that's possible or not, but I mean, it just, I felt, and I lost it. It sounds like a joke, but everything became so serious after that event, and I mean, I got splatted pretty good on the ground, and it was not me.
I
knew what I used to be like, but I wasn't me anymore. And I know it sounds like a joke, but
No, you're very serious about that. I know. I mean, there's a social awareness part of your brain and cognitive reasoning and all this other
got
stuff.
no middle
personality.
Yeah.
I personally have no middle ground. I'm either, and I love to have fun, or I got to be serious. I have no.
Where are we at
ground.
now?
And,
That's the only thing we wanted to know.
Yeah. But usually,
2 minutes.
but when you get done with the neurofeedback stuff after the 30, 40.
No, but these are things that
sessions that
people
you
don't
need.
understand about brain injured survivors, exactly where they stand on certain things. You know, parts of our brain has been killed, so it's only going to go so far.
Yeah,
Therefore, I don't have a happy middle ground.
What
It's
I'm
either
hearing Kevin tell me is
or-
that he can train other parts, or through this technique, not he, but through the technique
Right.
that he's working with, and the background that he has here, that
they can identify.
you can bring people back, and in the case, if dementia is the case, Matt, this is extraordinary. That if the brain, other parts of the brain could be taught to do what other places
Pinpoint
did
and
before.
locate in the right, exactly.
I mean,
that's what makes your brain stronger in the fight back anyway. Is all the little pieces try to make up for that one damn piece.
You recommunicate that and get the waves where they should be. The left side of the brain's got to talk to the right to the left, front to the back, and
sometimes it's a
but when you
center
get
part
done with
trying
those
to talk to all of
results,
them at the same time.
but when you get done with those results, it's permanent.
Right.
You're not going to speak French or Swahili when we're done, but I mean that is going to get you back to where you have to be.
No, and pinpointing now, such as I did in all my research programs, was what they developed and we learned over time. And it took baby step time, and it was a great time I had doing all that. But a long time to learn where to pinpoint, and MRI after MRI after MRI.
That's the thing. The MRI and the CAT scans will show you what the brain looks like.
Well,
It won't show you the electrical activity of the brain.
It's like a picture of the race
Yeah,
car.
again, the brain is electrical, so you have to see what the electronics are doing in your brain.
Okay.
So
that's neat.
That's where the holes in the black and the...
Well, Kevin, it's really incredible. This is the technology, using technology to make the body better, the brain better.
Yep, now's the time.
This is extraordinary. Yeah. And then do you have a website dedicated just to that?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Brainforestcenter.com, and the center is spelled CENTRE.
Okay. The Europeans are English spelling.
Well, yeah, center spelled the other way is like the center of a pizza.
Okay.
Which I'm hungry, by the way.
You spent too much time in France.
Now, repeat it again so that people...
Brainforestcenter.
Brainforestcenter.com.
Center is spelled CENTRE. And if you want to read some of the racing stuff, it's on wellnessracing.wordpress.com. Okay. That's where I talk about all the brain stuff, the racing safety, and racing.
So you have a blog also then?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And you was gone for an hour. I thought you ate the green room. I didn't think there was anything left in there.
There's not.
I bet not.
I took care of it.
I've been out here in this for...
Yeah.
I mean, since we started this show.
All right.
Well, we're down to 30 seconds. You want to close for me, so I'll just shut up.
Oh, good luck with that.
Good luck. Yeah, that can happen.
We've never experienced Matt being quiet before, but it's the first for us. Thanks for being with us with Brain Mechanics, Kevin Butterfield, and our host, Matthew Duffin. And I hope that you got something out of this program and that you're inspired and that there is hope. We've been there, we've done that, and we hope that you will get something out of this and move forward. God bless you, and good night.
The topics discussed and the information provided on this program is for general information. The hosts of this show are not medical professionals and are expressing their personal views and stories related to their individual lives. Their views are not intended to be used or taken as medical information. If you or a family member have suffered a traumatic brain injury, you should seek help from a practicing licensed physician.